The Nameless Shrine, a deeply immersive Islamic horror story of jinns set in northern Thailand. 15 chapters, summary, for your awareness only. A young Malay Muslim anthropologist named Faris travels to a remote Muslim village near Chiang Kham, Thailand, to investigate an abandoned shrine said to be cursed. What begins as an academic pursuit quickly descends into something ancient, forbidden, and horrifying. He uncovers an Islamic tale of jinn binding gone wrong, and finds that the truth has been buried under generations of fear, silence, and broken oaths. The jinn have been waiting, now beginning the full story, chapter by chapter, in immersive long format. Chapter 1. The invitation letter. The email arrived in the early hours of a Thursday morning, buried among spam and newsletter junk. From Dr. Hadia Binti Razak. Subject: Chiang Kham Field Invitation, Spiritual Anthropology Grant. Faris Al-Amin stared at the screen, rubbing his tired eyes. He had been waiting for an opportunity, any opportunity, to escape his overcrowded Kuala Lumpur apartment and leave the crushing noise of the city behind. He was a PhD candidate in spiritual anthropology with a narrow focus: Southeast Asian, Islamic ritualism, and this offer was perfect, too perfect. Dr. Hadia's message was concise. You have been selected for the Chiang Kham Spiritual Ruins Field Study. A stipend has been arranged. You are to investigate the Nameless Shrine outside Bansila Muslim village. Your focus: verify jinn ritual inscriptions found in the abandoned zawiya. That word, zawiya, a Sufi term for an Islamic spiritual retreat, caught Faris's attention. Attached were scanned photos. Crumbling stone walls covered in blackened Arabic inscriptions, including a name written in Ruka script that had been deliberately scratched out. His heart jumped. Chapter 2. Arrival in the north. Faris arrived in Chiang Rai International Airport with a single duffel bag and a leather-bound Quran tucked beneath his arm. From there, he was met by an elderly Thai Muslim driver named Pak Daeng, whose face was lined with age and silence. The car ride took nearly 5 hours, weaving deeper into the lush northern highlands of Thailand. As the modern world fell behind, the road narrowed, the hills turned to mist. Cell reception vanished. Bansila, the Muslim village nestled deep near the Laotian border, finally emerged, shrouded in quiet. Men wore taqiyya caps and women in tudung scarves glanced up at the car as it passed. It wasn't fear in their eyes, it was warning. The shrine stood beyond the village in the jungle, forbidden land. Chapter 3. The ruins of the Zawiya. Pak Daeng refused to take Faris beyond a certain banyan tree. We don't go past this tree after Asr prayer, he said in a hoarse whisper. Not even the imam, the spirits there, are older than this land. Faris walked alone to the shrine. The air changed as he stepped past the threshold. A dead silence fell. No insects chirped. The wind stopped moving. The shrine was half swallowed by jungle. The stone walls were black with mold, but the Arabic carvings were still visible. One stood out: Wa'bud rabbaka hatta ya'tiyaka al-yaqan, and worship your Lord until there comes to you the certainty of death. But it had been overwritten with another phrase crudely etched in charcoal: he was never sealed. Chapter 4. The Imam's Warning. That night, the village imam, a gentleman named Imam Yusuf, invited Faris for tea. He was kind but firm. What you are studying is not history, he said. The jinn in the forest are not stories. That zawiya was never abandoned, it was sealed, and it was not done lightly. Faris pressed him for answers, names, dates, origins. Imam Yusuf grew pale. There was a scholar named Ustaz Hamdan, he finally whispered. He tried to bind a jinn, a marid. He failed. Faris asked where Hamdan was buried. The imam looked him dead in the eyes. We never found the body. Chapter 5. The Whispers. After Maghrib, Faris stayed the night in a small guest hut on the edge of the village. He had barely settled in when the sun dipped below the horizon. And then, the whispers began. At first faint like wind moving through bamboo, but they grew clearer. Ya Faris, Ya Ibnu Adam, Ya Talib al-Ilm, O Faris, O son of Adam, O seeker of knowledge. He bolted upright. The voices were outside. He clutched his Quran and recited Ayat al-Kursi. The whispers stopped, but on his door, smeared in black ash, was a sigil, a 7-pointed star, twisted and open at one corner. Chapter 6. The Forbidden Texts. The next day, he returned to the shrine and dug deeper. In a collapsed corner of the wall, he found a bundle wrapped in rotting fabric. Inside, a leather notebook. Ustaz Hamdan's diary. The Jinn was called Al-Khazin, a keeper, not of treasure, of souls. I used 41 names to bind it. It laughed. I heard the adhan in reverse. The air caught fire. It said, "Your blood is your vow." The final entry was dated 3 Shaban, 1410 AH. The ink ended mid-word as, if interrupted. The pages smelled faintly of sulfur. Chapter 7. Dreams of the Desert Voice. That night, Faris slept fitfully in the village guest hut. He had locked the windows and recited his evening du'as, Surah al-Mulk, Ayat al-Kursi, Surah al-Falaq, and an-Nas. But the air felt wrong. At precisely 3:07 a.m., he awoke. Not from a nightmare, but from laughter. It echoed as if from a vast chamber, but there was no one outside. Faris staggered to the mirror near the bed and froze. The reflection wasn't moving. His body remained still in the mirror as he leaned forward. Then the reflection smiled, but his face hadn't. In the reflection's voice, soft, dry, and impossibly deep, it whispered in Arabic, "He could not bind me with names, you think you will?" Faris collapsed to his knees, whispering, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah," over and over until morning came. Chapter 8. Imam Yusuf's secret at dawn. Faris returned to the masjid, pale and shaken. Imam Yusuf was already waiting for him. He seemed unsurprised. He brought Faris into the back room of the masjid where old records and manuscripts were stored. From a drawer wrapped in plastic and cloth, he pulled out a thin, brittle scroll. "This is the original khutbah of Ustaz Hamdan," he said, delivered the week before he vanished. The Arabic was clear. "There are beings of smokeless fire, some are believers, some are cursed. One came to me not to bargain, but to test the human seal. His name is older than Babel, Al-Khazin, the keeper, he who guards the gate between veils." Imam Yusuf looked at Faris, his face tight. "You don't need to finish this research, son. This story does not want to be told." Faris, jaw clenched, nodded once, which means it must. Chapter 9. Deeper into the jungle, guided by an old map in the back of Hamdan's diary, Faris journeyed past the ruined Zawiya into unmarked jungle. Pak Daeng had refused to drive him, so he walked. Hours passed. Trees closed in. The air grew heavier. He passed wooden totems hung with bones, Arabic ayats carved onto driftwood, some intentionally scratched out. Finally, he came to a clearing, a pit, surrounded by 7 standing stones, each etched with an ayah from the Quran, except one. The final stone had been shattered. The pit exhaled warmth, like a breath. Faris knelt beside it and whispered, "Bismillah." The ground answered back. A name is not a cage, it is a door. Chapter 10. The possession of Pa Daeng. When Faris returned to the village that night, something was wrong. Pak Daeng was sitting outside his hut, whispering to himself. Except, the words weren't Thai. They were ancient Arabic, reversed, distorted. Khalas min nur, khalas min nur. Release from the light, release from the light. Faris recited Surah al-Baqarah aloud. Pak Daeng screamed. His body lifted a few inches into the air and collapsed. For days he spoke nothing but gibberish. The Imam called it a passing of shadow. "The Jinn are not inside him," Imam Yusuf whispered, "but near. He stepped too close." That night, Faris heard Pak Dayang mutter in his sleep, "He wears the name but is not named. He who kept the gate is now the gate." 10 chapters complete, 15 plus more coming. Shall I continue now with chapters 11 to 15, or even 11 to 20? These will lead into the climactic second half of the story, where Faris begins encountering ritual traps, mirrored worlds, and the original Jinn binding gone wrong. Let me know if you'd like the next batch immediately.